Sup guys, it's 2022. Happy New Year. And it's been a hot second since I made a video. But I thought, why not start the year off with making my top 5 games of 2021? Because I didn't really get to play a whole lot of games that I got to finish. So I had to scrounge up the 5 that I enjoyed playing the most. And here they are. But first I want to do 3 different games that also just were really good, but I just couldn't put them in the top 5. So here we go. Now, of course, the first game I want to talk about is new Pokemon Snap on the Switch. Come on, you knew this had to be here. Pokemon Snap on the Switch was a game I was super excited for because I loved the first game. I remember playing that so much with my little brother and friends, just trying to take a photo of every Pokemon and just exploring the game. Sure, it was an on-rail shooter type game, but it was just fun to see all these Pokemon and see what they were doing, see what they could do if I threw apples at them or play the Poke Flute, and it was so cool. And the reason I love this game is because it took that and made it better. So many more worlds to explore, so many more Pokemon. The graphics are absolutely amazing, and I really wish Pokemon would, the main series Pokemon games, would take this as an example and actually put an effort into their games. Because true, it can't be perfectly this, a perfect match, but it can still be good like that, that's a whole nother video. Obviously, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are not in this video, spoiler, because they were not great. They were pretty bad, but Pokemon Snap, love it. And I loved bringing this over to my little brother's house and showing him and just playing this for a couple hours and just seeing the excitement in his eye when he found Pokemon he loved, and it made me feel good inside. But yeah, Pokemon Snap, amazing. Another game I absolutely loved, the Dark Anthology House of Ashes. And the reason I love this game is because first of all, it's the best out of the Dark Anthology series so far. Absolutely amazing. The characters were much better in my opinion. The story bits were amazing. Well, the thing about the Dark Anthology games is there was always some big twist near the end or at the end. And with this game, it had the biggest twist of all, and even one I didn't expect, because I was starting to see a trend with these games, because I just finished the second one, Little Hope, and then played House of Ashes right afterwards on the PS5. I'm so happy I have one. And it just was an amazingly fun game, and the best part of these is that you can play them together with friends. Your friends can control individual characters, so you could play this game multiple times and have different games, essentially. And it even has Ashley Tisdale in it. Didn't realize it until after I bought it and played it. Really fun. It's also a horror game, if I didn't mention that earlier. But it's fantastic. Supermassive Games did a great job with this, and I'm so excited to see their season finale this upcoming October, because these always release on Halloween, which I fucking love Halloween. And finally, the last game I want to talk about, give a shout out to, that didn't make it in the top 5, was Scarlet Nexus. I loved the combat in this game. It was such a breath of fresh air. And I love JRPGs and anime games, but they always have this particular combat that's fast, but not as fast as what we would expect from a high-paced fighting anime. This game was fantastic in that regard. The combat was amazing, combined psychic powers, elemental powers with swordsmanship, and there's such a huge cast of characters. Now, not all of them are great, but a lot of the characters, you really start to, you learn more about their backstories the more personal missions you take with them, and you really start to care about your squad. And the beauty of this game is that there are 2 different storylines. Each of the main characters in the box here, boy and girl, you can play through the entire story through their perspective. Now, the only downside of this game that I will admit is the game is super long. I played about 20, 25, 30, almost 30 hours on one playthrough. So you're gonna get your money's worth of this game, being $60. but you can even probably find it now for like 40, 50 bucks. It's an amazingly fast-paced combat game, and it's got a really cool style to it. One you should definitely check out. Scarlet Nexus was fantastic, but just barely squeaked out of the top 5. All right, now top 5. All right, so top 5. This was really hard to do. Like I said, I didn't get to finish a whole lot of games, but I played quite a few, and I'll admit I have not finished one of these games in the top 5, but the others are just fantastic. And I'll start with number 5. That being Monster Hunter Rise for the Switch. Now, I will admit I'm not a huge like diehard fan of the series. I played a lot of the games on PSP with my buddies, really enjoyed those. Took a break on the DS and Wii U versions, but I played Monster Hunter World on the PS4 and really liked it. Never finished it. This is the game I haven't finished yet. But this one, I gave it a shot. Absolutely love it so far. I've just, with so many things going on in so many games, I just haven't had the chance to really like sink my teeth into it and finish it. But that shows a lot that it's in my top 5 without even finishing it yet. I loved it so much that I actually went out and bought the Monster Hunter Rise Switch, and loved that. Fortunately, had to sell it due to some financial issues, but I was able to also get an OLED. So playing this on OLED is fantastic. It's just all the new additions they put in this game, all the new monsters, the Palamute, I think that's what it is referred to, the little wolf dog, is fantastic. I love it. The Japanese inspiration with the game is, I love Japanese culture, and that basically this is my favorite Monster Hunter game, hands down. I really don't have a lot of negatives to say about it. It really is that good of a game. It's a really long one. You have to sacrifice a lot of your time to play it, and that's probably the biggest thing. But really amazing game, Monster Hunter Rise. Definitely go get it. It's one of the few Switch games I really sunk my time into this year. Number 4 on this list is Tales of Arise. Now, I love the Tales of Arise. The Tales of series. I've tried to do my best to get all of them in my collection. There's so many different platforms they're on. You know, you got the DS, 360, PS3, the Vita, and now I don't believe there's no Switch versions of any of them yet. But this is the newest one, Tales of Arise, and I really liked it. It's a lot darker of a game than the previous Tales series. And animation-wise, it's even a bit different too. It's a little slightly more realistic, and I know that's kind of weird to say about an anime game, but it just is just ever so slightly, if I can use my words right, ever so slightly more realistic. You play as a character who has essentially lost his memories. He is referred to as Iron Mask for a while because he wears a mask on his face that he cannot take off. He eventually meets up with a girl from the country that is basically enslaving his people, and you essentially build a partnership with her because you have some type of magical connection. You know, what other game hasn't had that? But just the combat is fantastic. The customization of your characters with their weapons, their armor, their abilities. There's just so much content in a Tales game that I have no problem spending $60. Even if I find a Tales game out in a while now, that's an older one, absolutely worth it. The first Tales game I ever played was Tales of Xillia, which I absolutely loved that game, played it twice through, loved it. I'm so close to finishing this game, but I haven't had a chance to finish it, but you get so much so much value out of this. I'm already like 40 hours in, I think. 30, 40 hours in, and it's fantastic. I don't like all the DLC that they force. I guess they don't force it, but they post all this DLC for costumes and stuff that I think is just way overpriced. But there's some really cool ones, like the costumes from Sword Art Online, the original series, I believe. That was really cool. You can also buy level boosters, just in case you get to a point where like you really don't want to grind. And I'll admit, I fucked up and I bought a couple just because I really wanted to get past a certain point, and the grinding was getting tiresome. But overall, the story is fantastic, the gameplay is great, and it's just, in my opinion, one of the best Tales games. And a lot of people would agree. But number 3 is Outriders for the PS5. Now, this game, I bought it when it first came out, and it was mainly because I heard it was another looter shooter, but a little grittier, and it's made by People Can Fly. And they haven't had the greatest track record, but I've heard like some decent things about it, so I gave it a shot. I really enjoyed it. I played it a little bit co-oply with my friend when we were trying to test out the crossplay, but it never worked out, so I ended up shelving it and just waiting to play it later. Then I found out it got an update, like a huge 2.0 update, and it completely revitalized the game. Plus, they were also starting to sell it for like $20 on sale, and another buddy of mine bought it, and we started playing it together, and now he's obsessed with it. And I got back into it and actually just beat it yesterday. As of right now filming this, I beat it yesterday, and the ending was kind of a little quick and wrapped up, but it was a really solid game. The gunplay is fantastic. The powers are so unique. The customization, the armor, the weapons, and that's what you like about looter shooters, is that the loot. So many looter shooters nowadays fuck up this concept, and it's the most basic thing you have to build your game around, the loot. And this did it so well. In fact, it's one of the best looter shooters that I've played in a long time. And what my buddy told me the other day that really hit me is that every other game, you build a character, you feel like it's your own character, but there's not a whole lot of diversity. Within this game, he built his character without looking at online builds or anything like that. He built his character that is his, and he absolutely loves his character because he feels like it's incredibly unique, and that's an amazing thing with this game. It's just, you build a character and a power set that is yours, that is unique to you. It is very difficult for you to be the same as someone else's character. And it's 3-player online co-op. So, fantastic game to play with friends, especially after the update. There's a big DLC patch coming out this year, so I'm definitely going to be going back into it. I'm actually playing this with him last couple nights, just grinding and getting more loot, because the end game is also incredibly satisfying. So, fantastic looter shooter. The only thing I can negatively say about this game is that the story can kind of be a little dull at some points, but it also can be really good at points. Lots of highs and lows, but you can easily get this game for cheaps, and I highly recommend it. Now, my number 2 of this year is It Takes Two. And the reason I don't have a box in front of me is it's at my buddy's place. The same friend that I'm playing Outriders with, I am playing It Takes Two. And that game is just so good. It is a $30 game brand new. It is entirely a co-op based game. You have to play this with a friend. But it is so worth it because the story is just to give you a little bit of insight, is essentially about a couple that is going through a divorce. They've been together for a while and they just aren't happy together. Their daughter, after finding out that they're going through a divorce, accidentally casts a spell which traps their souls in these dolls that she's made. And each level is basically you and you and your friend have to control one of each of the couple, and you have to complete these missions, which are entirely co-op based. Like, this game cannot be played solo; it has to be played co-op. And they make that easy because it is split screen co-op, or you can play it online with a friend and give them an online code, which allows them to play the game for free with you, even though they don't own the game, which is awesome. And spoiler alert, it actually won Game of the Year for 2021 at the Game Awards. And this game it shows something. It shows that AAA games don't need to be $60 or $70 to be amazing. Because this game was made by a smaller studio, with the head of that studio wanting to be he wants to make a good game. Yes, this game doesn't have a lot of replay value, and some say that would be a bad thing. But to me, I think if you can hit me with an amazing story, make me feel something, then I don't need to replay it again that soon. It's an experience, and that's what this game is. And I'm so happy it won the Game of the Year because it deserved it. It was such a fun game, and I would absolutely recommend to anybody who wants to get their significant other into gaming or wants to play a game with a friend. It's just a fun experience, and it's such a unique type of experience. I'm so excited to see what else they do in the future. Now, my Game of the Year for 2021. I did not expect this. As much as I talked about It Takes Two, I still had a bit more fun playing this game. And that is Resident Evil Village. So when I played the demo, I was spooked. I was like, holy hell, this game is scary and it's gonna be awesome. I loved Resident Evil 7. I was actually playing it recently, well, not even recently, just a couple years ago with a friend on the channel. You can go check that out. And it revitalized my appreciation and love for Resident Evil. And to give you a bit of insight, I was not a longtime Resident Evil fan. I never played the original first three, and I don't like tank controls. I think tank controls are garbage. But that's what they had to use back then. But anyway, Resident Evil 5 was fun for me. 4, I'm kind of mixed on. 5's not great, but it was fun with a friend. 6 was god-awful after playing it again recently. But 7 revitalized it, and 8 took what was good about 7 and made it better in a lot of ways. And unfortunately, it did go backwards on some stuff, but I'll get to that. Resident Evil Village. First of all, graphics, gorgeous. Sound, amazing. Gameplay, fun. It takes, in a lot of ways, it takes what made Resident Evil 4 so good, with its gun upgrade system and customization, and just made it better. There's a lot of even throwbacks to Resident Evil 4. In fact, you could even say this is a spiritual successor to Resident Evil 4. But the main group of characters are so unique and interesting to me. Of course, Lady D, the vampire, tall, beautiful Amazonian woman. She was big with the marketing in this game. And there's 3 other lords that you don't really get to see in the trailers, but they're all pretty neat. This also gave me one of the scariest experiences I've had in recent memory playing this game, and it was absolutely just wow. Now, unfortunately, I really didn't like the last, want to say, fourth of the game until the very end, because the area that they put you in is it's not fun. It's so different than the rest of the game that it just felt like this was shoehorned in for fans of Resident Evil 6 and some of the more technological parts of the older games. Overall, though, the game is just fantastic. The bosses, it's essentially a boss gauntlet. The 4 lords, including Lady D, are out to get you. And you have to kill them in order to get back stuff they stole from you. Obviously, I'm not going to get into too many spoilers at this point, even though it's been a while. But and then the end, sadly, also there's a part that really just kind of just goes balls to the wall and completely changes and goes back to that crazy boulder punching scene from Resident Evil 5, you know the one. And just these crazy out of control events, and that took me out of it. But even though the last part of the game really wasn't all that great, the revelation at the end that explains some things in Resident Evil 7 and kind of shows you what could be happening going forward just was enough to put this as my #1 game of 2021. And you might be thinking, why didn't I put an Xbox game on here? Well, easy. Xbox really didn't release anything this year. Halo came out, and honestly, the multiplayer is pretty fun. I enjoy it. It has its issues, which I'll go into a completely different video about. And also the campaign, I'm still kind of iffy on it. I don't really like the whole, it has to be an open world thing now. Like, I kind of like my Halo games linear shooters, but that's just me. Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think some of my picks are good, bad? Tell me some of yours in the comments down below. Let's get a discussion there. If you liked it, I would really appreciate the thumbs up. I really would love it if I could get over 100 subscribers, you know, in the next couple months. That's a goal, obviously. I don't make as many videos as I like to, but hey, you know, it's good. It's nice to set goals, even if you don't hit them always. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing 2022. And I'm so excited for some of the games coming up, like Pokemon Legends Arceus, Dying Light 2, Elden Ring. Just a couple of my favorite picks for this year. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. Have a good one.